Alrighty, welcome. So today we're going to be talking about season 5 of The Dragon Prince. I can't believe we're actually talking about it. We're talking with fellow YouTuber, good friend Joshua Fagan over here. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Vero, and once again, as always, I am very excited to be in this video talking with you about The Dragon Prince, a show we're very excited about, and a show that had a really fascinating season 5 that I can't wait to discuss.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot believe that we're already talking about season 5. You know, it almost like blows my mind a little bit because the wait was so long for season 4 that it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild. I mean, I remember doing my videos on season 3 when I was a freshman in college, and that was a long time ago. That was 2019. That was before COVID happened. And then by
Right?
the time I did season 4, I was almost graduated. So that's a long time. That's a very long time.
Right? If they keep up this pace, they might be finished by the end of 2024. Like we might go into 2025, like 2 years from now, with a finished saga. Isn't that's so wild when I try to wrap my brain around that, right? So that being said, I figured we could start off talking about what were your overall expectations for season 5 going in. What were you expecting to see? What were you hoping to see? And what was delivered on those?
I will say, as we've talked about this before, I like season 4 more than probably the average person. I definitely don't agree with everyone on Reddit who was saying it was like, the worst season ever. But, you know, my take on it was ultimately that it felt like a bit languid first half of the season. And my expectations were that season 5 was going to basically be the second half, that it was going to be the half where we got a lot more action, a lot more character development, a lot more thematic development that really gave us a conclusion to these stories about Viren and Claudia that I was really invested in. And for the most part, I think it delivered. I've definitely noticed the buzz around season 5 being at least somewhat more positive than
Mm-hmm.
I saw back for season 4, and I'm happy about that because I
Mm-hmm.
agree with it. Because I think season 5 was a very solid season of the show. I found myself consistently engaged. I it's not perfect. It could be uneven at times, but the things that were a bit annoying, that can be a bit annoying about the show, ultimately really were downplayed a bit. Like I wasn't really too bothered by, say, I don't know, the show's often rather silly sense of humor for one. And the things that I really was invested in, especially in terms of Claudia, especially in terms of Viren, the show absolutely delivered on. Like the Viren story for season 5 is probably one of my favorite parts in the entire show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a true pleasure to watch that unfold.
Oh, I could
So
absolutely agree with you on that. Absolutely.
so ultimately, not entirely a 100% ringing endorsement, but I'm excited. I'm fully committed to the show. I can't wait to see where they go in the last 2 seasons, and I found this season very affecting and quite delightful.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot as well. And I think that just the fact that people are excited again, I find that really, really encouraging. Because after season 4, it felt like after like a couple weeks of complaining, interest just dropped off. And I was looking at Google Trends data, and it was only a few months. It was like 2 months afterwards. And it might have even predated our last discussion. Actually, it might have been in maybe even December. And the Google search data for like the terms the Dragon Prince was like as low as it had been since like
Yeah.
2018, for like like before the first season was even released or around that time. But yeah, people seem excited about it. I absolutely adored it. Did you know? I learned this the other day that apparently this season and season 4 were originally conceived to be one season.
Well, that makes a lot of
Doesn't
sense.
that make
That's very
so much
much in line with
sense?
what
Doesn't that make so much sense? Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh
it's
yeah.
setup and payoff. It very
Mhm.
much feels like two parts of the same whole.
Right. How about that ending too? Oh my gosh, with Biren like laying in the grass. Oh my god.
I love that so much.
Oh, it's
Like,
so good. Oh man,
it's
my heart. Oh, I love it. I can't. I also find a lot of joy in imagining because there's a lot of people out there. I imagine they're much younger than us who don't appreciate nuance or nuanced characters who just they hate him as a bad guy, right? And then we're having this incredibly moving and emotional scene with him. I'm just trying to imagine like what's going on in their brains, like what like they're trying to understand. Like they grew up with like I don't know what's a bad guy Malekith from Thor: The Dark World, or like these like one dimensional bad dudes, and now they're like sitting there like what am I supposed to feel here?
yeah,
But
exactly.
terrific, terrific. Among some of the characters that got introduced that I thought were quite nuanced and interesting, we got Finnegrin.
Yes.
Uh, Everyone's favorite thirst trap until I think I know what thirst trap means. I might have to. I don't know what. I might have to Google what that means to make sure I didn't say something bad. Everybody was thirsting for. I don't know, like the cool young people talk, but everyone was thirsting for him. Then he came out, and then everybody hates him now. Fantastic character, in my opinion. What did you think about Finnegrin?
I found him fascinating. Vero, have you ever seen the show Deadwood?
I've it's been on my radar for years, and I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's great. Like, fantastic. Like right up there with The Sopranos and The Wire. Is one of the
Hmm.
best shows of the 2000s. But uh, I only bring it up because Finnegrin is very reminiscent of Al Swearingen, a very hilarious, kind of a terrible anti-hero-ish, kind of villain-ish guy in that show. And it was great because I looked up an interview with the creators, and I learned that was intentional. Like that was
Oh, really?
yeah. It was it was their big inspiration for that character, which is great. I was like,
You want to
yes,
talk
I
about
knew it. I knew it.
inspiration coming into the show, though? How about the Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me reference? I gotta say, I have not thought about that movie in a long time. The film where that the scene was being referenced to. Um,
Oh yeah.
that was
Yes.
surprising and pretty amazing, pretty great.
Yeah. I kind of love that. I kind of love all these references in the show that are done in a way that's not intrusive or annoying. Like, I mean, it's
Hmm.
done in a way where, I mean, if you get it, you get it, and it adds to the experience. But
Did you see Aang's
no,
glider was in
still
that treasure
works
trove
as this
though?
weird, wild scene.
Hey, did you see that Aang's glider was in that treasure trove? Hey, did you see that Aang's glider was in that treasure trove?
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
like 90% of my DMs and messages and just YouTube comments for months. Did you know that? Yeah, I saw it, man. I saw it.
Yeah.
It was right there. I saw it. Yeah. But yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely not as intrusive as like something like that. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a neat little reference. Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely for sure. Yeah, I found Finnegrin fascinating. Do you know something I really enjoyed about his character that I really appreciated on my third watch of season five? Um, okay, so he's introduced, and we get a real sense for his personality and his interests. He
All right.
comes in. He seems like a pretty rough and tumble, bad guy type guy, and he complains that Ezrin's crown's not worth anything, and he tries to make a trade, and we're like, okay, so greed. This guy is about money and all that stuff. That's fine. It's a fine motivation. But then later we find out that he wants to learn the dark magic spell from Callum because he wants to take out Domina Profundus, right? For as revenge. So his character so like it's so interesting. I love it. It's so good. It's so well written. It ties back to the cycle of violence theme. The Dominant Profundus, he hurt sea creatures with his original crab ship. She killed his crab ship. Now he wants to kill her, and he's hurting them to get this to hurt her. Ah, the cycle of violence. I love it. It's so good. Why aren't more shows written like this? It's so
Yeah.
good.
It's good. It's really good how they do that. Like I'm trying not to make make this too much about Viren, but I mean, I but I mean, I really like just on that, like how Viren is written. I'm only thinking about Viren so much. Number one, because he's great, but number two,
Mhm.
because I just made a video about him, and like a lot of Viren's, you know, anger, his frustration, his grievances at the world are legitimate, or at least very understandable, but he just becomes so obsessed with them that it just leads him down this darker path, leads him away from his family, leads ends up leading his family, his daughter Claudia, down that dark path as well, and ultimately leads to all these unintended consequences, even despite the fact that his initial grievances are very reasonable and ones that we can absolutely relate to. And so that's why that's why I find the ending for Viren so affecting, when he decides, like, no, I'm done fighting. I'm done trying to rebel against this crazy wild world. It really only has made a lot of things worse. And if I do this, if I don't keep, making all these compromises to try to stay alive, that in one sense saves me, but it also provides more of a chance to save Claudia, because Claudia, his daughter, I mean, her main objective, the main force driving her, is just this desperation to try to keep Viren alive. And if Viren is willing to say, no, I don't want this, I'm willing to make this sacrifice just to not be a part of this anymore. I mean, that very much undermines a lot of the temptations that are afflicting Claudia. Like, it's really good. It's
It's
just
so good.
like it's just so incredibly nuanced. But I mean, I love that it's done so well and so brilliantly for Viren, but it's reflected everywhere throughout the show, even in uh, a little villainous character like Finnegan. It's just very much woven into the overall thematic tapestry of the Dragon Prince.
It was so good. It was so good. I liked how they fragmented the groups so that we
Yeah.
had more time for characters to have direct interactions with each other. I think that the last season suffered a bit from having too many characters in the party at one time. So a lot of them just kind of were there and stood around and didn't do too much. But this time they kind of fragmented them off early on, and I think that helped a lot with the characterization. Um, Corvus was great. I loved Corvus, and but when we wasn't needed in the story anymore, he stepped out. And Amaya as well. When Amaya wasn't needed, she wasn't in the show. And I feel like this season did a lot better job of utilizing its time very, very efficiently. Like, I've rewatched it. I think it's one of the best paced seasons. It might be the best paced season in my opinion. Out of all
Yeah,
of
I
them.
would agree with that.
Yeah, terrific, great job, like phenomenal. It plays like an epic movie, really well done. And I found some of the jokes were pretty good. I liked I liked the joke. I thought I need to make a video. I was thinking about making a video about the poop joke, the duty joke that they made in season 5, and comparing it to the petrichor joke from season 4, because I kind of like the duty joke. I was like, that's kind of funny, but I think it was just character driven. Anyway, but yeah, so I put Viren towards the end of my list of things to talk about because I
I mean,
figured
I really do not want to make this all about Viren, because I feel like if I do, then I will just not be able to stop talking
he's
about
so
them. So
great.
I
Let's
think
do
we
it.
should say Viren for the end.
Yeah, like for sure. Like, man, I really liked it a lot. What were your thoughts on like Rayla and Callum's relationship this season? That was another thing a lot of people were upset about in season 4. How do you feel the season handled them?
I think it's handled quite well. I mean, I do think a big reason why it was just, kind of so jarring in season 4 is because, like, it just, I mean, it's kind of wild, like, especially if you haven't read Through the Moon, but even if you have, like, I mean, at the end of season 3, they're together, everything is perfect and beautiful and ideal, and then in season 4, like, suddenly she's gone, but then she comes back, and it's kind of
That
dealt
is
with, but
that is
not
gonna play
really.
so badly, yeah, for future generations who watch the show, who are gonna just go directly from season 3 right into season 4. That is gonna play just so badly for them. They're gonna be like, what? Huh? Who? Huh? Like, there's a graphic
Yeah,
novel? There's 20 graphic novels? Which one am I supposed to read here?
yeah. There's just gonna be more and more in
That's
terms of.
gonna, but all in all, I don't think it's gonna be that. I think it's gonna. I think the series is gonna play better overall in
Yeah,
one binge for sure. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I really think that as a whole, like looking at season four and especially what they do in season five, I think it's handled quite well. I mean, where we actually see Rayla and Calm like having to deal with the fallout from this, like having to deal with like, okay, I deeply care about like if I'm Callum, like I deeply care about Rayla. I know she cares about me, but like, how do I really come to try to trust her again? And so much of the season really revolves around that. I mean, sometimes they just kind of state it explicitly, but I mean, more often and more subtly, I mean, we see a lot of these little moments throughout the season of them, really deciding that they can trust each other, deciding that they can really depend on each other, and that really works, and it it fits thematically with what they've been doing since season four, and it just makes for some good, thoughtful drama, especially since the show is really good in this season at slowing down at the right moments, which is
Hmm.
something I will concede season four was kind of weird with. Like it's season four was slow, but it slowed down at some weird times. Whereas like here, like it slows down when it needs to slow down for the emotional character relationship dynamics to really work themselves out, and I really appreciate that.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, they definitely knew when to slow down, when to speed up, when to be funny, when to be serious. And I really appreciated a lot of that for sure. Yeah, and Rayla and Callum's relationship is, I think it's coming along pretty nicely. I think I would still be satisfied if they don't end up together romantically in the end. I know that's probably a hot take, but at this point, I think that it would be much more, like what is it? Narratively, maybe not narratively is not the right word. It might be more just emotionally powerful if they decide that look, this isn't. We're both gonna love each other very much, but we're just not good together. But something like that. But it is fantasy, so in fantasy, people can overcome their struggles and work through these things. So that's part of what makes fantasy so appealing. And for sure, I love their relationship. What did you think of the Baitlings this season?
The what?
Oh,
Sorry.
the
Oh,
Baitlings.
oh yeah,
Little
I know what
baits.
you're saying. Yeah, it just kind of took me a minute. I thought that they were very cute. Like, I mean, at first I was a bit uncertain since like I'm not sure the show needs more cute creatures, but I ended up liking them.
It's just gonna be nothing but cute. It's just gonna become Pokemon by like season 7.
Yes, yes,
You're just gonna be
gotta
just
catch them
catching them
all.
all. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I thought it was a really interesting choice, and I know you're really into philosophy and that kind of stuff. So I got a philosophy question I want to float you. Okay, so Ezrin is king of a nation. Presumably, he has wealth. Could he not buy those Baitlings or trade Finnegrin for them? Does he have to steal them from him? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think from Ez. I mean, I think even if Ezrin had all the money in the world, he wouldn't do it. Like, I mean, I think that
Mhm,
whole thing is just would be a bit too sordid for Ezrin. Like,
mhm,
Ezrin is like very morally pure to a fault. I
mhm.
think he's very committed to like doing like no like not really any big compromise. It's just it's good. It's just if I just it's not always the easiest thing, but if I just commit to it, if I just think about it a bit, like everything will mostly turn out all right. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if that's unfair to him, but I mean that's very much how he comes off to me. He's very much a moral idealist.
So you're thinking that he in his mind he's thinking, no way am I going to give this guy any money. He
Yeah,
shouldn't even have these in the first place. So I'm just going to take them.
yeah,
That does, I think that does parse, because he does say he does refer to the Baitlings as Vinegar and having something that he shouldn't have. So I suppose that could track. Yeah, really interesting. Okay, well let's get to it. Let's talk about Viren's arc. Okay, let's just talk about Viren. Okay, so what, just like overall from like the beginning to now, what are your thoughts on Viren's kind of growth as a character?
I mean, I think it's so compelling. I mean, I hate to always speak in terms of like Avatar: The Last Airbender references, but like I think in this case it's justified because the shows are rough parallels. Ahas was, of course, the lead writer on Avatar, and Viren. I mean, if Soren is basically a version of Zuko, and Claudia is definitely a version of Azula, that makes Viren a much more morally complicated version of Ozai.
Yeah,
Which I think that that feels right. Like, I
there's a
mean,
lot of parallels there. Like they are by no stretch of the imagination are they the same character, but there are definitely yeah a lot of parallels between them. Like even down to like the conquest concept, which is kind of hinted at in season 3 of the show. That even that idea, or the need for power, or the way he uses his family and leads them down a bad path, mistreats his son. There's a lot of parallels for sure between Viren and Ozai. That would make a really good video. Have you made that video yet? Am I tripping?
I think I've talked about it a bit. I'm not really sure if I've made a video just about that
I was
topic.
just imagining one of your thumbnails with like Ozai and Viren, and then a little black text at the bottom, a little black bar with the text, like Viren and
I mean,
Ozai
that's
parallels
exactly
analysis. I was like, did I watch that? Is that something you've already
I
done?
don't know. I mean, I must say I kind of lose track of half the videos I make.
Oh,
Like,
for real. I feel that. Oh my gosh. I used to make those meme videos, and every so often I would go off on like a little tangent about some like random theory or something about the show, and I'll get a comment like 3 years later. Some guy will say something about that one of the things in that video, and I'll read his comment and I'll be like, what is he talking about? Did I say something in there? I must have said something in there. I have no idea what I said, so I just like it. I'm like, good idea.
yeah,
Good thought.
yeah, just completely
For
forget. But
sure.
I mean, I do think Viren as a character is kind of an attempt. I don't know an intentional attempt, but it has to be at least semi-intentional to kind of like build a conception of Ozai who is, you know, more interesting than just a pure villain type. You know, so,
Right.
someone who can whose psychology you can really contemplate and really think about and really drill into. Like
Hmm.
what drives someone like this to to do what he does? Like and
Hmm.
like someone who's like not the worst person in the world, you know, so someone
Right.
who has a lot of positive qualities, a lot of qualities we can genuinely respect, and yet what happens to him happens to him. Like honestly, one thing I do kind of wish is that we would kind of play with the parallels between Callum and Viren a little more, because I mean
Same.
there are similarities there, and of course Callum takes over Viren's old position as the Archmage. I mean he gets the mirror of Erebos.
Hmm.
I think there's more that could be done with
I think
that.
didn't we talk about this? I think we talked about this in the last time we spoke, where I was like they're clearly establishing these parallels, and then I was like, but to what end? Like what are they going to say? And then I feel like even in this season we see more of that kind of idea. We see
Yeah.
Viren in his like dream state talking about doing whatever it takes to protect his people. Then we later see Callum make that same choice, turning the chains into snakes to save Rayla and his other people. So we see him use dark magic for that same reason. So we're definitely seeing these parallels are continuing more abstractly, which I would prefer it to be that way than literal visual this just recreating shots with the character in the same clothes. I would prefer it to be a little bit more uh nuanced than
So,
than literally recreating shots. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just preference.
yeah.
But yeah. Well, what do you think that? Where do you think they're going with this? What do you think is their end game here?
Hmm. Like with the parallels between Callum and Viren, you
What
mean?
are they going to end up trying to say? Like say something meaningful. Like what are they gonna? What is the purpose? Like any ideas?
Uh,
I'm at a loss.
I mean, how do I put this? Like, obviously, I don't think Callum is going to end up going down as dark and as
Right.
morally dubious a path as Viren, but like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like Callum. I like Callum a lot as a character, but like, he has never struck me as the kind of person who is going to be as pulled into temptation as Viren was. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he doesn't really have, at least to me, that kind of ceaseless drive. That insatiable will to make things right according to what he believes to be right. That desire to,
Mm-hmm.
kind of move heaven and earth if you have to like
Right.
try to war against all the injustices he has suffered and he's witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Callum is, he's Callum. He's nice. He can go to. I mean, he can do some questionable things when it comes to protecting the people he really cares about, and that's perhaps a parallel with Viren. But I mean, I definitely have never felt that same degree of pure desperation from him that
Right.
makes Viren so compelling as a character.
You know what it reminds me of in a lot of ways? It reminds me of in Return of the Jedi when the
Hmm.
Emperor is offering Luke like strike down your father and take my place, take his place at my side and have power of the dark side and all this stuff. And it's just weird because Luke as a character just never really wanted power
Yeah,
that
yeah.
much. Yeah, so it's weird. So it's also similar, like it definitely seems that Viren wanted power, right? Where there are similarities with I suppose there's an interpretation that you could make because they are establishing how much Callum wants knowledge, even forbidden knowledge or bad knowledge, like knowing
Yes.
the dragon killing spell. So they're kind of setting that up to where he just wants to know it. I presumably just to know it, just to have the knowledge. So we could definitely we need like an element of tragedy that's really gonna push him over the edge, and that could be season 6. That might be season 6. Uh,
Rayla dies.
Rayla dies, Ez gets
I'm not quite sure if
paralyzed,
that would happen.
Catullus gets burned to the
Yeah.
ground, something big that makes him snap. Uh, that would be, I think, a fulfillment of kind of where we're heading. But
Yeah.
also, I suppose maybe it's not for Callum's benefit, but it's for Viren's benefit. Maybe what they're
Hmm.
trying to illustrate is that Viren was once like Callum, instead of Callum is going to become like Viren. Maybe we're looking at this flipped
Hmm.
around, and what they're just trying to say is like, look, he was a cool little nice boy too at one point in time, and then just fell down that dark path.
Oh, interesting. I will say I really loved all of the Viren kind of dream, nightmare, surreal flashback sequences, but I especially love the ones when we see him like and with his kids when they were much younger, especially that very heartbreaking little scene with like very young Soren when
Mm-hmm.
Soren gets very sick and Viren uses his dark magic, and we see how much Viren really cared about Soren. Which, I mean, we kind of got hints of that before, but just seeing it so
Mm-hmm.
vividly just really
Right.
broke my heart.
Right. And I think there's a lot of subtext there that would make for a really good video. Because I think what where they're gonna go with this, and whether this is in a season 5 novelization or a graphic novel or one of these reflection stories or something. I don't think it's going to be in the show, but I think that basically what's going to happen is in the novel it talks about how Lyssa left his wife, left him shortly after Viren got better from being sick. So I think the implication is just deriving from all the different pieces of information that he used dark magic to save Soren. That ruined his marriage, and now he, in some level, blames Soren for all the wrongs that has gone on since that point. And then since his son is this big dummy, constantly letting him down, and he's like, "Gosh, I did all this for you." Like I can see that that's probably the direction they're gonna go. Whether that's just gonna be subtext or it's gonna be text in some at some point, I don't know. But I think that that's a pretty safe uh, idea to kind of derive from the material, the bits of material we've
Yeah.
gotten. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that that's 100% true. I don't think it needs to be in the show. I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing more of Viren. Like he's my favorite. Yeah, I would say at this point Viren's my favorite
He's
character.
taken the number one slot after being in number two for the entire series. This season, he beat out Rayla finally. He talked to Rayla. He didn't talk to Rayla. He beat Rayla out for my favorite my favorite character for sure, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing more of Viren, but I mean, I think his story is finished. I think it's come to a very natural, tragic, almost
Hmm.
noble conclusion. Like it just feels right. Like I don't need more than that. Like it's
Right. So you're saying that you would be satisfied if we pick up in season 6, they can't find him and he's just gone.
yeah,
He's done. That was
I
his
would
last
be
scene.
yeah, I would be fine to
I
not
would be
see Viren
satisfied
for the
with that
rest of
as
the
well.
show.
Yeah, I would be fine with that as well. Yeah. I somebody commented on one of my videos. They thought that what's gonna happen is they are gonna find him before sunrise, moments before sunrise, and Claudia's gonna just straight up murder Sir Sparklepuff, which that's pretty dark. Um, but I could see that happening too, and maybe he sticks around. But I'm with you though. I would be absolutely satisfied if what we saw at the end of season 5 was his last scene. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Viren if we're gonna see him again in any form. I like I hope it's the end because it's just such a fitting ending. It's
mhm.
and honestly, it's just I don't know. It's weird to call it beautiful, but I mean, it is kind of it's poignant and it's
Mhm.
very somber in a lot of ways. But I mean, there is a kind of sort of serenity there. It's really good. It feels good.
Yes.
Claudia obviously is not going to be happy about this for a lot of reasons, some of which we can understand, some of which are come from her obsession. But
Mhm.
I mean, I want to see I, I don't want to see Vera in season 6. I do want to see Claudia. I want to see a lot more of Claudia. I want to see how she kind of reacts to this and kind of rationalizes it and kind of tries to frame it within her perspective. I mean, Claudia has really fascinated me. Like I've always kind of in season 4, I think she was still a bit too jokesy for me, but like season 5, I mean, I really feel both like Claudia is absolutely terrifying here, and I feel so bad
Oh,
for her. Like
oh my
both of those things
gosh.
can exist.
Yes. The moment where she turns on a dime, when she realizes that Ezrin might know where the prison is, where she goes from "I'm your friend, we're still, we're blah blah blah," and then she just flips. Oh my gosh, chilly. Ah, what a great little vocal performance from Raquel Belmonte as well. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like that. Oh, there's so much in that switch. And then she grabs them. Oh, turn. Okay, I got a question for you. Okay,
Go
is
ahead.
she gonna use dark magic to regrow her leg normally, or is she gonna get a prosthetic of some kind, or is she going to have some kind of weird dark magic monster leg going forward?
Oh,
I'm
huh.
taking all bets. Just regular leg or
Yeah,
monster leg or a
I have a
prosthetic?
feeling it's gonna have something to do with dark magic. I mean, the show has been so uh ardent on the idea of dark magic kind of having this effect on you physically if you keep using it. I mean, we see what happens to Viren, and we see Claudia, very visibly her hair is turning white. Like I would be absolutely in favor of her having this kind of weird, distorted, dark magic-y kind of leg in
Yeah,
season
I'm here for
six.
that. I'm here for that. Yeah, definitely. Give me like a weird like sea monster like barnacle leg, something gross. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. So
Yeah.
now, if Viren is gone, that means that her only support is Terry. So in order for her to complete her fall to the dark side, we gotta get rid of Terry. So what do you think? Is Terry gonna voluntarily see she's going too far and leave? Which I think that idea has been seeded. That it's been reinforced. It's been reinforced 2 times so far. So it might be rule of writing. Rules of threes.
All
That third
three.
time might be he's done. Or do you think he's gonna die? I think either way would push her over the edge into full blown kind of scary monster lady. Great lieutenant for great heavy for Erebos. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I still have not really gotten a good grasp on Terry and his relationship with Claudia. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't dislike him as a character. I mean, I think it's good at least to have someone with Claudia. Like, but I don't know. He's still kind of an enigma. Like at
Mm-hmm.
first, like in season four, I always thought he was hiding something. Like he might betray her, or he was like
Mm-hmm.
secretly evil in some way. But it doesn't seem like that's true at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think based on what we've seen, I don't think he's going. I don't think he's going to die. I think he's probably going to leave Claudia, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Maybe he's gonna be the guy that like goes and tells the heroes, "Hey, look, Claudia and Erebos are up to some bad stuff. They're going to turn the sun into a giant supernova, and then he's going to absorb all magical creatures in the world, or something like that." He's going to be
right,
the one
yeah,
that
yeah, I
tells
can
them
see
the
that.
big bad guy's plan to kind of kick off the finale. Or maybe, but I think of what happened with gosh, I just lost their names. Mai and Ty Lee from Avatar: The Last
Oh yeah,
Airbender.
yeah,
They're like, I'm done with this. But like at that point, they'd had a past relationship with Zuko, and they'd had multiple altercations with the heroes. Terry has only met one of them for like 2 seconds, and she tried to kill him. Well, that was Rayla. So I don't know if he would think, oh, I need to go tell those people what's going on, or maybe he would. Maybe he'd just be desperate. He's just like, oh man, oh jeez.
yeah. I think that there's a good chance that he would just tell them. I mean, even if he doesn't know them very well. I mean, I think he genuinely cares about Claudia. He genuinely loves her for some reason,
Right.
but I think that he would probably say like, "Oh no, I love Claudia so much, and she's going down this very dark path. Like I need to try to do something to stop her, and like the only people who could possibly help do that are these other guys. So I'm gonna go
Right.
and try to join them."
Right, yeah. I think it makes a lot. I think I get it. I think I get what they're going for with Terry. I think the idea is and he talks about this a little bit, how basically his people didn't really accept him identifying as a male or as a man or whatever the proper terminology is. And then Claudia accepts him. So I think that's basically what it is. He found somebody who accepted him for who he was, and so there's that connection there. And I think that connection is making him overlook a lot of her very obvious flaws. Which, man, same. Can I, how many of us can say the same, right? Where we had like connection with somebody and we so overlooked a lot of really
Right.
apparent flaws in hindsight. Oh, oh, wait, no, yeah, no, now I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you are totally the kind of person who would help a Star
Oh
Touched
yeah.
elf kill all magical creatures and become gods of the new world. Oh no, I see that now. Oh, gee.
Yeah. I must say I absolutely love that moment where Claudia is just kind of walking into the sea, and then which is a striking image in of itself, and then Viren, who has been catatonic the entire season, just sees the immediate parallel to his kind of weird, surreal dream visions, and he just calls out after her.
Freaks out, yeah.
Uh, yeah, for the first time, and just very, very striking, very, very moving. But then she just disappears into the depths. I mean, that's very much Claudia passing another threshold. I mean, she's passed quite a few of them, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
with you.
she's really proved herself
Gosh,
willing to do a
the part
lot
of
of
his dream when
very.
she was walking in his footsteps, I was so here for that. I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then they kind of ruined it for me when she says, "Look, I'm walking in your footsteps." And I was like, "Okay, I prefer my
Yeah,
subtext to be subtext, not text." But now
yeah.
it's Y7, so now that the little ones they get it. So sometimes I think it's fine.
Yeah. I will say that as much as I love the show, it can subtlety is not its greatest strength. I will admit
Right.
that.
Right. Sometimes I was like, wow, that's beautiful. She's walking in his footsteps into destruction. That's beautiful. I'm walking in your footsteps. I was like, oh, oh.
Yeah, there's something else like that. It's not quite that overt, but it's just it's Callum and Rayla when they're kind of walking through that ruined, scarred area, and they're talking about it, and it's clearly a metaphor for the two of them, and it makes sense that they would read it like that, and I think it's for the most part it's not too on the nose. It's like a connection that Callum would reasonably draw from being in this circumstance. He would kind of think about this place as a place of regrowth, just like thinks about his relationship with Rayla as one that can regrow and be
Mhm.
different than it was before, but still very beautiful and alive. And I like that moment. It's a good moment. And then they like had to have like this little plant like literally growing up out of the ground at the end of the scene. I'm like,
Did you get it?
I think that's a bit
Did,
much, guys.
did you get it though? See the plant. It was like their relationship can regrow. Did you get it though? Because there was the plant. There's the plant regrowing. No,
Yeah.
I feel ya. I feel ya. Nah, it's fine. It reminds me because they did the exact same thing in the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King,
Mm.
where they're in the middle of the battle. They're starting to have some hope, and they show the tree and it has a flower on it symbolizing hope. Like, oh, the tree's regrowing. But nobody was.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. It was a lot more subtle. But on the other hand, I think a lot of this is just like down to personal taste. It's not to say that the writing is like inferior per se. I just prefer my subtext to be very, clear, but also subtext, not
Right.
visual, not that kind. I prefer my yeah. Well, some visual.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit I'm just kind of nitpicking. Like, I mean, I think for the most part, these things really work. Like
Mhm.
the Claudia, not Claudia, the Rayla and Callum relationship really works for the most part this season. I like what they do with that. I really love the Claudia stuff and all Viren's weird, distorted visions and his terrified fears of what's happening to her, and just trying to do whatever he can to try to stop her. Like she wants nothing more than to bring him back to life, and he wants nothing more than for her to not do that, to not keep going down that path. And
Mhm.
even he's even willing to you know refused to try to keep himself alive for a lot of reasons, but probably foremost to just, not give Claudia that encouragement, not keep pushing her down this path that is leading her to ruin. It's
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and like, I think one scene that I would really like to see is I would like to have a scene where he gets to talk to Claudia and tell her about his mistakes and try to steer her down the right path. But at the same time, maybe it is too late for that. Like both like in the universe of the story and also narratively for him to kind of have that talk and be like, look, I made a lot of mistakes. Everything I tried to do was for my family, but I regret it. I shouldn't have done it. That kind of thing. But dying gives you a lot of perspective, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, honestly, we've seen this since season 4, where Claudia is very emphatic. Like, okay, we have to get everything back. We have to get the spell to keep you alive, Dad. And Viren's just very contemplative, and he's just like, you know, I mean, if this is my last month in the world, it's great to finally be able to enjoy things. Like, this is
Right.
what I've missed when I've just been pursuing all these futile goals that only made things worse for everyone.
Yeah,
It's a very striking contrast, even back in
definitely.
season 4.
Definitely. Yeah. See, yeah, his arc this season just fantastic. And just overall just wonderful. Yeah. I would love to have this be this season be his swan song and his character is done. Um I think that would be really great. And then I think it's really appropriate that he, after everything he did, he dies in rags in Zadia alone. I think there's something very poignant uh, about that. And after a lifetime of being reactive, we have to do this because this, we have to do this because that, he decides not to act. He says to Erebos, nope, not doing it. And then he just walks away. I think there's something so powerful about that and inspirational and moving. Just beautiful season. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, so what are some of your hopes for season 6? Maybe some things you might want to see.
Okay, one thing I do want to see. What do I want to see? Okay, yeah, so sorry, I have to say one more thing about Viren.
Oh no,
Like, I
go
mean,
ahead.
it's just that it's about dark magic. Like, I've kind of criticized, how dark magic is, just, characterized being very evil, but there's nothing innately wrong with that if you do it right. Like, I mean, how do I put this? Like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy did this really well. I mean, like, obviously the ring is bad, but like that's fine because it stands in for all these very real temptations and yearnings and these desperate desires that constantly compel people on to do these things that they believe are right, they believe are just, but ultimately just lead them to ruin. And dark magic has a very similar effect here. Dark magic is unnatural. That's what it keeps emphasizing. Like, it's a perversion of the natural order, and Viren keeps using that to try to defy the world because he believes, perhaps understandably, that the world has dealt him and those he loves a pretty bad hand, that it's treated them poorly, and he keeps trying to rebel against that, even using this unnatural force. But ultimately, he does not try to do the most unnatural thing in the end, which is try to reverse death. He accepts death as a natural and inevitable part of life, and ultimately he abandons, through that rejection of dark magic in the end, his constant attempt to rebel against the inevitable order of things. He accepts life as it is, in all its sorrows and regrets, as unfortunate as it is.
He just comes to peace with it. Just
Yes,
beautiful.
yes, it's so
It's
good. It's so
it's
good.
so
Like,
good.
yeah, I okay, but you're right. I can't just keep keep going on.
Oh
Like,
no, no,
I
you're
want to
good.
see season six.
I put Viren's thing towards the end because I was like, I knew you and me. I was like, we're gonna have a lot to say about this, both of us.
Yeah.
But for
But
sure.
just in terms of season six, like you know what I do want to see is I want to see more of Callum. Like I want to see more of him like really having to think about these things. Like I mean I like Callum, but like I do want to see more from him. Like especially if he is going to go down a dark arc path. I mean I which he might or be tempted to do that. I want to get into more of his psyche, and especially one thing in particular. I want to see what he thinks about Claudia. Like, I mean, I want him to actually really reflect on this. I mean, he
Mhm.
Claudia was his beloved girlfriend. Like, he thought he was going to spend his life with her, and then not only does that not happen, but she becomes this monstrous vile, obsessive figure. Like, what do you think about that, Callum? And not just, oh, hey, that's not good. Like, really, what do you think about that?
Right, a scene where they talk about that, about how him and Ez. I wonder what Ez has to say about this.
Yeah.
Remember they were like hanging out and like on the rooftop talking bonding about their lives, or when he decided not to throw them in prison for the crimes of their father, he showed mercy, and then she just like tries to choke the life out of him with a giant like Ursula tentacle, and it's just like, what are you guys? How are you guys feeling about this? You guys good? We need to do like a little vibe check, with some of these guys. Like, how you doing? Soren, your sister turned into an octopus and tried to murder my brother. It's kind of weird because I had a crush on her. Uh, like I don't know, like somebody. Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely, I would love to see that kind of
Yeah.
discussion for sure. I'm curious about this tower that they're going to. I'm really interested. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna go there. I'm curious
Yeah.
about like so we have like I guess they said it was Skywing elves that run it.
Hmm.
I reckon that this is the place where we are going to learn about Erebos. This is where we're going to get that information, who he is, what he did, specifically what he did that got him in prison, and we'll probably figure out who this jailer character is probably there, I imagine, right as he gets freed by the end of that season, probably.
Yeah. I, I really like how we've kind of gone through each of the seasons. I mean, not each of the seasons, but each season goes through these different elements, these different sources. And I like that this season was water and or ocean, and they actually tied that into Rayla's fear about the ocean. And I know it's just your typical heroic moment in a lot of ways, but I like Rayla, kind of being a bit anxious about the water and kind of getting out, like I don't know about this, but then eventually diving back in and feeding Claudia and or
Mhm.
certainly saving Callum and Ezra. And like I don't know that was just very very affecting to me. Like I I don't know. I guess it's just because we've seen Rayla's fear of water just be something that they talked about since
Mhm.
the very start of the show. And
Yeah, it's inspirational. It's inspirational to
yeah,
see her
yeah,
conquer her fear and to go help Callum and Ez. Yeah, for sure. I see what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yes, especially since so much of this season regarding Rayla is about can we really? I mean, can Callum really trust her? After what happened, like, can he really believe that she is going to really commit to this? That she's going to, be willing to just throw herself into this situation, into this relationship, and really be there for Callum, even in really not great moments that she wants no part of. And at the end of the season, I think the implied answer to that is very much yes, which I don't know. I find it sweet. Like it's not as morally fascinating as the whole Viren and Claudia stuff, but it's a heartfelt moment nonetheless.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And I love the moment when she goes and she hugs him and he just looks so defeated after using the dark magic, and we can kind of
Yeah,
see her being there for him while he was kind of dealing with something, and he didn't tell her about any of this. So there's another kind of rift there that is going to have to come up at some point, I imagine, dramatically. That he used dark magic to save them, and without dark magic, they all would have been fish food. Uh, so that's gonna be a fun talk.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you think Finnegrin's gonna come back, or do you think he's like for sure dead? He got thrown into a fish monster's mouth.
I don't know. I think he might come back. I mean, we've seen a lot of characters in this show that I never thought we would see again, but then they come back into the show. So
Because I figure somebody needs to be the person to be like he used dark magic. I mean, I guess Callum might come clean on his own, but I can't imagine what would prompt that.
mm,
Like why he would feel the need to say that. But I figure the only person who could have maybe had an idea, maybe the Driftwood guy, the big dude, whatever. What was that guy, by the way? Do you know what he was? That an Earthblood? Was he or some kind of creature? I don't know. What did that dude was? I need to ask. I need to get 𝐷 and interview him. And my only question is gonna be that. It's just gonna be like a 2 minute interview. I'll be like, so what was that guy? And how do you say your last name? And that's gonna be it. That's gonna be like
yeah,
my two questions. That's gonna be it.
yeah. I will say one thing I really liked is just about this season is just how they just worked in the water and the ocean into everything. I mean,
Mhm.
from Callum's kind of uh, I don't know what to call it, endearing, I guess, obsession with these ocean love poems at the start to to
Yes.
do everything that has to do with the sea and the pirates and Finnegrin and all the rogues of the ocean to eventually Claudia Rayla overcoming her fear of water and Claudia very much passing into the depths of the ocean, like very metaphorically significant, kind of
Mhm.
passing that threshold into the murky depths. Like I kind of liked to have the basic source. I keep on to call them elements, kind of integrated into this entire season. I liked how they did that, and
Mhm.
I want to see more of that in season 6.
Is this the only season that feels like it was appropriately named for the primal source that it's named after?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of forget what the other ones were named
Right?
after. Like,
Well, I
at
was
this
thinking
point.
about it. Okay,
Kind of,
so the first season's called Moon, and that's kind of appropriate because the first three
Rayla.
episodes deal with the moon and the assassins showing up during the full moon. So there's that, but we learn about moon magic in season 2, which is called gosh, what is it? Air? Is it
Air.
air?
Well, I mean, I guess that
Wait,
makes
is it
sense.
air? I don't even remember.
I
Is it
think it is
sky?
because it has to be since that's the one where Callum
It is sky.
masters the sky magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is sky. It's sky. So we learned about moon magic and sky magic in the same season, and then in book 3, it's sun. It's the sun, which I guess is appropriate because we do go to Luxoria, but we don't learn anything about the actual primal. We don't learn the Arcanum or anything for it.
Yeah,
And then
yeah. I will say that that's not to keep bringing up Avatar, but that's one thing I really think that show did well. Is it didn't just say, "Oh, hey, here's water, here's fire, here's earth." Like it really delved into like, okay, what's the kind of philosophy? What's the kind of mindset behind
right,
all these
and we
different?
went to those places.
Yeah,
In water season, we went to the water poles, and then in the earth season, we spent most of it in the Earth Kingdom. Then in the fire season, we spent it mostly in the fire place. So I mean, that kind of makes sense. But like, in we don't go to the we guess we go to the Moon Nexus, but that's in season 2, not one. Season 1 should of the Dragon Fruit should have been called like season 1. I don't know, humans or something. It's a bit mouthy, you know. I'd let the professional writers kind of iron that out a little bit, go with a little catchier. But
so let's see. We've had moon, sky, sun, earth, Earth was 4?
Earth was
That's
4.
kind of weird.
It has nothing to
Okay.
do with Earth. I mean, they went to
Very
an Earth Kingdom forest. I think that's Earth Kingdom. Is it? Is there an Earth Kingdom? I don't even know. The Drakewood? Is that Earth
yeah.
Kingdom? Is that their land? I guess.
And then you have 5, which was ocean.
Hmm.
That fit. I like that a lot. So what do we have left? What do we have
Stars. Stars is the only one left. Stars and Dark. And Dark's got to be the last one because it's so
Yeah.
dramatic.
So,
Dark.
we're going into the stars season. So I'm hoping for a lot of wild cosmic imagery.
Mhm. I want.
I'm hoping it just goes crazy, like full surreal, full just show us the most wild and crazy, beautiful, strange things in the world.
Oh, for sure, definitely. I'm so interested in what exactly is the nature of Erebos's prison. He's in like a
Yeah.
weird crystal ball thing, and I'm like, do you smash it? Is it like the primal stone? Like if you just drop that sucker, is he free? Or or what?
I really just want more about Erebos in general. I mean, I really liked your video about Zubea.
Oh,
Like,
thanks. Yeah,
what a
I don't want to call the lady biased, but she made a lot of really big, sweeping like judgments against him in her stories. So I don't think we can fully trust everything she said, whether she was intentionally or unintentionally misleading, because of her own bias. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting, like the full story. I feel like
yeah.
we have not gotten the full story. Erebos being the elf Illuminati secretly behind all the evil people in the world's history. That sounds untrue to me. And it sounds very
And
un-Dragon
it's
Prince.
against even what we get in the show.
Exactly.
We see how Erebos affected Viren. Like, it wasn't because Viren was either very wahaha, like super villainous, or because he was like a naive dope. Like, Viren was desperate because he had suffered a lot of loss and a lot of tragedy in his life,
Hmm.
and he wanted some answers and some reassurances. So
Hmm.
he turned to Erebos. That's well, I don't want to say it's the right decision. Obviously, it wasn't, but that's understandable. It's not like Erebos is just deterministically controlling how everyone behaves.
Right, right, for sure, for sure. So, and I think it's gonna be. We haven't really gotten a taste of what he's after. We still don't know what his plan is. We
Mm,
knew because I remember, like, what was it in season? Was it season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender? They introduced the idea of Sozin's comet and how Sozin used it to devastate the world or something like that, and then that's brought back in season 3 that he's going to use it again. This Ozai is going to use it. So they kind of introduced like an idea of what the big bad is going to do in the end, but we still have no idea
mhm.
what Erebos is
Yeah.
going to do. I'm at Vengeance. I imagine he seems to really relish killing that Sunfire Elf Queen. He seemed to really enjoy that. So I think probably we're gonna tie it back to the cycle of violence, and he's gonna want to hurt the people who hurt him. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that would at least make more sense than just he's evil because he's evil.
Right? So like what was his what was he trying to accomplish? That's what I want to know. Because
Yeah.
according to Zubea, he was behind all like every evil human ever was secretly him whispering into their ears. To what end?
Mm,
What was he
yeah.
trying to accomplish? Like that's what's missing from her story is any kind of his side of the story, any kind of his perspective. He was trying to align all of the I don't he just there's nothing. There's it's just he was evil and he did all these everything bad was his fault apparently. So
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm I was already interested in Claudia, but this season has made me extremely invested in her story to see where it goes.
yes, yes. I have been rooting for her to turn full blown evil for a
Mhm.
long time. This is the kind of path that is so Dramatic.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here for. I want drama.
Yeah,
I
I
want.
will say at the end of season 4, I was a bit worried that, you know, after what happened with the confrontation with Rayla, and Terry's like, "You shouldn't do that, Claudia," and she's like, "Oh well, okay, sure."
Mhm.
I kind of thought that would kind of be as far as she goes. I'm very delighted that was not the case.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. And then we see.
Also, just speaking of Rayla, I do want to see them free Rayla's parents.
Me too.
I like extra points if that doesn't exactly go according to plan. I imagine that they just free them and then they're like, "Why are you with a human, Rayla?"
So one of my favorite theories that I made, and I never made a video about it because this actually predates my YouTube channel, but it's on one of my old accounts on Reddit. I I had said that I had always hoped that it would be Viren who would free them from their coin prison. Because you
Huh.
got to think, how are they going to get him out of there? It's dark magic. They need somebody with an understanding of dark magic to do it. So who do we have in the show? Well, we have two characters. We have what's his name, Viren and Claudia. Claudia's not going to do it, but Viren might, as a gesture of goodwill,
Mm.
to kind of gain trust, perhaps. Not too dissimilar to Zuko fighting Sparky Sparky Boom Man. Kind
Yeah.
of similar in that vein to establish trust and maybe to bolster the good guys' numbers. But
Mm.
I don't know if that's going to happen now with the way that season 5 ended, although it still could. Maybe he runs away from her or something and she like turns into a scary goblin monster and flies through the sky to try to catch. So do you remember how I complained that they weren't using the dragons to scour the skies for Claudia?
Yes.
Dude, they saw my video, I swear, because they literally, that was like the second episode of this, they do that. And I was like, yes, thank you. Dragons are an excellent resource. You should always use your dragons. And it could have worked. I don't know. I don't know if that one dragon could have gone back and like told the other dragons, like, yo, that crazy human lady, she's on that river down there. Let's get like 30 of us and go get her. But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to season 6, and that's a good compliment for the show. I think that's a sentiment that's held by a lot of people. I think
Mm-hmm.
there is significantly more enthusiasm now than there was at the end of season 4.
Yes, and I think a lot of it. I thought about making a video about this. I might not, but I think a lot of it has to do with the way that the season 4 ended. Because at the end of season 4, it ends with the shot of his of Viren's eyes glowing like purple, and like nobody knew what the heck that meant. Even I was confused. I was like, "Wait, is he possessed? Is he not possessed? Is that just dark magic? If it's just dark magic, why are we ending on this season on that note? Because him doing dark magic wasn't really a big deal. Like in
Yeah.
the show, it wasn't like a big problem. I don't know. I think a big part of season 4 is kind of like way it kind of floundered out very shortly was I think that the ending didn't really grab people the way that it
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think a better way to end that season would have been to end it with Erebos somehow. Maybe just hard cut to him looking into the mirror, watching the events, and then smiling menacingly, and then executive producers and just
Yeah.
that's it. I don't know. I don't know if that would play better or not, but it definitely felt incomplete. And
Yeah.
knowing that season 4 and 5 were initially conceived to be the same season makes so much
Yeah.
sense,
Makes a lot of sense.
doesn't it?
I will say I'm still not entirely satisfied with Kareem. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I like him as a character, all right, but still don't know what to do with that whole plot line.
Right. I'm here for it. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. I'm down. I'm down with where this is going. Erebos is going to have a full blown army when he comes out of
Yeah.
Sunfire Elves and probably
Yes.
even Soul Regum on
Yeah.
his
I'm pretty sure
side.
it's gonna all tie in.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Well, because the Sunfire Elf priest, we saw very briefly he had that bite on his neck. He was initially bitten by the little caterpillar creature, right?
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that he's working under the orders of Erebos. And so everything that Kareem is doing, his force that he's building, is going to become Erebos' force when he comes out.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, I can see that. That's
this is gonna be this is great. They're setting up a whole final battle, I imagine.
yeah,
Oh, we
I
didn't
can
even
I
talk
can
about
definitely see
Amaya.
him.
We didn't talk about Amaya or Chennai at all. We didn't
Oh
completely
no.
skip that plot line.
Oh, I guess my Viren obsession just clouds my mind.
No, same. I love Viren so much. He's such a compelling character. Oh, it's just so much nuance and subtext that this to take
Yeah,
apart.
it's
It's
just so
great
thematically rich.
for sure. Well, thank you so much for doing this video with
Oh
me.
yeah, yes, it's been wonderful. I'm glad to make a video about season 5 with you, Vero. I'm glad that I could be so optimistic. I'm very
Yes.
much looking forward to the future of the show.
Yes, me too. And definitely check out his channel. As always, I'll put a link to it down below. I'll probably send them to your why Raylan happened and why it matters video. That's one of my favorites of yours. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for
Thank you.
watching.